The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
It's coming.
All these voices. All these voices.
They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead.
That's what it sounded like.
Good, you know who I am. And you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Is there a demon here watching us right now? Watching us right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
How's everybody tonight, motherfucking misfits?
Tonight's show is going to be kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. We got a couple different things to talk about. I'm going to let old boy start out because he wants to talk about the UFO stuff that's going on, like, pretty much right by his house. It's like pretty damn close to him. And there's some other stuff that goes along with that we'll talk about as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen, old boy, but it's been going around everywhere now that there's these weird green laser lights over like Vegas and some areas over there where you are. They're like, look like they're scanning the ground or some shit. I was just looking at it before we went on the air. So we can maybe talk about that a little bit and some other stuff. So I'll let you go ahead and explain the UFO thing.
Well, last week, I think it was on Saturday or Friday night, in Palmdale / Lancaster, because they're right next to each other. It's about an hour, a little over an hour away from me. There has been many sightings of UFOs. Then there was some fake ones too coming out. That's true, but the one is you could see it going down, and you could tell it's the UFOs. They were trying to say it was drones, but they said the military said there was nothing going because there is military down the street. I think it's Irwin. Or I think it is. No, it's one of them down there. There's a military base by Lancaster, and then they also, you got to remember, in in Lancaster, Lockheed and Boeing and all them are out there. But you could see there, and then there's another one. And you could see it. This chick just sees it flying down, and you could all these pictures or these videos on TikTok and Twitter. It was mostly Twitter, and everybody's talking about it. And then they showed this one that there was like hundreds of lights in the sky. You could tell that there's something going on. And I think it's because of everything that's going on. And I have a theory on this. And like he was saying, there's stuff in Vegas with the green lights, and it's happening out here in the Mojave Desert. And you could see these lights beaming down. And I seen what he's talking about. That's kind of interesting. I'm wondering what that's about. Maybe we can figure that out. Maybe it's just the military because, there's a new thing that came out, and we don't want to get into politics, but saying that Biden said to get ready just in case we have a nuclear war with Russia and North Korea, and everybody's worried about Iran and Israel. So it could be tests because they're showing people there's in different states. There's all these military trucks in Texas and showing lines of tanks and all this stuff. And there's something going on. And maybe that with what's going on with the aliens, they're tired of all this shit and they're going to take over soon. I have because what was happening in Palmdale, there's 7 or 8, and this was clear. They could quit. And then I don't know if you've seen the guy from CBS. He was just doing a thing on CBS. He used to have a job and he quit the military. He had no job and he ended up he's writing a book about about they need to just quit lying about UFOs. They're real. Why would all these people who used to be in the military talk about it and come out and say all this stuff? And why? It's not, they're not going to get anywhere. Some people, I understand, they get paid, but all these people are saying, even people who are in the military, British have been saying it, Russia has been saying it. They're real. He said it's about time we can handle this. People know they're real. Let's quit lying. And he was on the CBS, and his book's out. I forget what his name is, but I was watching him, and he's all over the place now because he's talking about it. And at first, they didn't want him talking. And as he said, that's what the issue is. They don't want him talking right now. I don't get why they just admit that they're there. They already found out in one of the moons, NASA and Venus probably has life. They've seen lights that they can't explain. There shouldn't be. Mars, they found more rivers, and I think they're seeding. And I think James doesn't want to be honest because he has something to do with that. The Mars land rover. I think they've been seeding for years. And how do you get air? Trees. I think that's what's being going on. I think, and Elon Musk is saying a lot of stuff lately. I don't know if you've been seeing. He's going on Rogan and telling on everybody. He's telling everybody everything. Werewolves are real. Antarctica, the Mars, all everything. I don't know if I've been sending James how I want to watch that show. I've been watching some of it. He's saying we have megalodons or in the middle of the earth. There's dinosaurs, all kinds of shit. Now I don't know why he would all of a sudden start saying this stuff because he doesn't care. He's the most richest man in the world. But he better be careful because stuff happens to you when you talk too much. We all know how that. Look what happened to Mr. Tate again last night. I don't know if you've seen he got arrested. And then he's out of jail again, but child trafficking, they're going after that guy. You know, the guy with the bald head. It's always talking about masculine stuff. You know who he is, St. James. He got busted again, him and his brother. Last night, they got out of jail again, and they're after him. You have to watch what you say. Now, he's got a little bit different because he works with NASA, and he's trying to get to Mars because he said we can go to Mars now. They don't want you guys to go yet. I don't know why. And then there was another picture of it. Looks like a UFO, but they're saying it's our ships. That he said that we have the technology. We've had it for years from them. And he said that's all it is our ships. It just looks like a UFO. We're practicing, and we can fly them like that. And that's probably what they were doing that night. I don't think it was aliens. I think it's us. I think we have the technology from them. We probably have something from them. And they're just going to say aliens now because people are going to believe it. Saying that aliens don't exist, people don't believe it anymore. They said 85% of people believe in aliens exist. That's changed from, I think, 10 years ago when they said 50% people. So people are really pretty much believe aliens exist. There's a lot to it, though. He said that religious people have involved in this to not let this be known. It's not just mostly it's the Vatican. We knew that. That's what I've heard. And the 1% don't want it out. It changes a lot of things. But you know what? Who cares? We're going to find out one day anyway. It doesn't matter. Somebody's not going to give a fucking land here, and we're going to find out the truth. That we already know. They might as well quit lying. You know what? Like I said, I think they were doing stuff 20 years ago, and everything's just so opposite negative now. It's crazy. Everything flipped. And I think that's why things are going. Because I saw somebody else doing the Mandela effect about something else that they were showing, and now they're changing it. I think they're doing it for purpose. They changed lines in movies for purpose. Now they were showing Leo and Stitch. She was showing the original movie, and they changed it where she was getting into the refrigerator, and they did something else, and they changed it. So they're changing history. So they're doing it for purpose. And people are noticing. I don't know how the fuck you would notice it, and you're that bored, I guess, and you're just sitting here watching stuff like this. But that's crazy to me. Aliens, to me, need to just be honest with. We all know they're real. No one's stupid. We know there's millions of planets out there. Come on, let's just get it over with. We got to quit worrying about stuff. They've been here for we've been here for thousands of years. They've been over here millions, probably. Probably longer. I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't know yes or no on that one. I can't say it's false or wrong. They've been here longer than us. I think there's some of the reason we're here. But the point is, we got to quit pretending these things aren't real. We know they are. Or it's us that we have technology we don't want, but there's stuff that you can't keep denying there's something out there. They're showing stuff like big ships flying over Washington, D.C., big ships flying into Russia, stuff like that. I don't know what else to tell anybody. It's probably what it was. I mean, I know people probably made up fake pictures and exaggerated like everybody does, but it's just common now. Everybody's seeing them. It's like every other week, James, there's somebody seeing aliens. It's like every other day, pretty much. It's not like you can't keep faking this and saying it's just fake video. It's all the fucking time. It's impossible for it to be fake now. they're saying it now. Most of the videos that are coming out, 50% of them are real now. It isn't like it was 10, 15%. People have cameras now. You catch everything. That's why we're seeing creatures and all this weird shit more, because people have video cameras and on their phone and tablets. So you're going to see a lot of stuff that's coming out. Now, what do I think this is? I think maybe that they're either tired of what's going on or they're helping it along. They might be. You know, there's supposed to be an a war between the Greys and the the reptilians and other ones, the Star Children. And I'm just saying of stories I've heard. I don't know if I believe that, but I believe there's something going on. There's a power struggle. I don't think it's just like how we talk about it, James, like you have the United States, Russia. Maybe why Russia's doing all this shit, because they know something that we know, but we don't know the people that's really going on. There's another war going on. And what I'm saying is there's another war being fought that we're just seeing, that we're the outskirts. And we're just, what I think is, this is what I was going to come down to. Are we becoming a giant ant farm where they want us in chaos while all this shit's going on? And think about it. If you think about all the stuff that we see all the time, there's creatures, there's all this bullshit coming out, all these aliens, Antarctica. Is it just that we're just like in this big playland, but now we're starting to get too smart and we're seeing what's going on? And then they get everything riled up in the news and they let us think that we're really running shit and we're really not. And I was gonna do the show a couple of weeks ago. James ended up getting COVID, and I was gonna get into this theory I have. Are we just becoming toys and puppets for a audience? Kind of like what was that movie with Jim Carrey? You know that one they're watching him? Truman Story. Yeah. Truman. Yeah, Truman.
Truman Show.
Yeah. Now, are we becoming a Truman Show? Not really the Matrix, but like, are we a Truman Show? Are the aliens on the outskirts really running everything, and they've always have, and they just let us do what we want to a point till they know we're going to blow each other up, and now they're going to get involved because the stupid humans are going to go at it? Are we a big game? And it's starting to feel like that. And we're seeing shit that we never thought were existed, and now it's coming out of nowhere. And it's just that maybe they were. We really don't know. We know there's space. We know there's Mars and stuff, but we're just learning what we're getting told. Yeah, we can watch stuff on TV. James, I know some of this is real because you dealt with it. But in the end, is some of this stuff really true, or are we just seeing stuff that we're being told and they're really running everything? They just want us to think we are. It's just, we'll see how much we can get out of them, and we'll intervene every time we blow up something up. That's why Samaria went. That's why what is that one? God, Atlantis is gone. They got too big. Atlantis, they're finding out they had as much technology as we have or better. Why do they want to keep that a secret from us? Just like the giants, just like all these creatures. Why do they want to keep everything so fucking secret? Did Lord of the Rings really? You know what? I started looking about. I was reading about Tolkien, and I think maybe these creatures were just made by aliens. That's why you had the Minotaur, and we got into the monsters things. But maybe they're the ones who made these things. And there's video. If you look at some of the statues and some of the stuff from Samaria and even Egypt, there's weird looking monsters. And they showed them mating with like animals and stuff. Was it the aliens? They show pictures of aliens and giants. Does this shit really just exist? And it they just found a way to make us this cloak around everything. Vampires are really real. Werewolves are real. What if everything we think on TV is just somebody trying to tell us something? That some of these people I'm not talking about horror movies, but some of these movies like Spielberg and all these people, maybe they're trying to tell us something. Jurassic Park, maybe there's a truth to it. Like, what was that? Remember the Unbreakable series with Bruce Willis and Glass? Everybody thinks Glass is a piece of shit, and he really is just telling the truth that they were using mutants and superheroes, and the government was fucking killing these people because they didn't want people to know the truth. Maybe this is the truth. Maybe that's what they're telling us, and they just that's why they make movies so no one will believe it. Like horror movies. they're telling the truth, but people just think it's a movie. Maybe these people like really have these powers. Maybe there really is people that can do stuff that we can't, or there really is these monsters that we thought there were just stories, and they really are. Maybe aliens are real. They are real. I'm not going to say anymore. They are. I believe they're 100% real. Um, Maybe Bigfoot's really something else. That's why we can't see him. And then now we're seeing Bigfoot a lot now. Why? Maybe Bigfoot's fighting a war we don't know. Maybe maybe Bigfoot's smarter than what people think. He just acts stupid. I think they're smarter than us. Mothman, all these weird creatures. Why is the government worried about megalodons? They said that's a big. Why would they care if people know there's these giant sharks? Because it's not the only thing there. The Leviathan, people think that's coming back. That's supposed to be, it's in the Bible about the Leviathan, giant monster in the ocean. It's bigger than any, and once it gets out, it's bigger than anything. I'm just showing you, are these creatures really real? Are these things really the truth? Are we living a made up story like a Truman Show? And what happens is some people find out and they disappear, or they make them discredit them, or they'll say some crazy shit about them. And people, okay, yeah, that must be true. Remember that song from Michael Jackson, They Don't Really Care About Us? I believe that song. That song was great. If you really think about that song, I think he was giving us a message. And then they took care of him, made him look like a pervert. And that's what I try to tell people. It just like Martin Lawrence. Remember, he went crazy for some reason. Middle Streets, and they saw all kinds of stuff. People are seeing things that they're not supposed to. Now you're seeing Matthew Perry. He was murdered. Yeah, no, you saw that. Now they found out he was. We wish we would have done that. Matthew Perry being murdered by his doctor, and why? Five people were arrested. I kind of knew that. Getting back to Hollywood, but I want to watch what I say, because certain things happen when you start talking in that way. But there's stuff I think is going on that certain people don't want ever to know. But it's getting out because video and technology is getting too much. They can't hide it anymore. Before, when you had stones and sticks, you seen a monster, oh, okay, it's just a story. Not everything is a story, man. Some things are all true. I think these things existed. I think they still do. I think they're just smarter than us. Somebody thinks the Greys are just humans that went in time and mutated. That's another theory I was listening to. That one was that was a weird one. Are we really that's just what we ended up looking like 10,000 years later? Now, the reptilians, are they just dinosaurs that evolved? And they showed it what they would look like if they did evolve. They look exactly like reptilians. And the only difference is they would be like 8-9 feet tall, not like 20, 30, 40 feet tall. They're showing the mammoth has already been made. I don't know. Did you see the video about the baby mammoth? Had hair on it, and they're already doing it. So I mean, they've been doing it for a while. They said it's going to be done in 2 more years. They're already showing the mammoth had hair. They're coming. The saber-toothed tiger is coming back. They're going to bring some of this shit back, guys. The dodo birds, they're making that. I don't know if you heard that. Why do we need giant mammoths again? I mean, I think I get it in Siberia to make. That's all it is going to be, making money. But why? These things don't need to be back. I mean, it's great. It'd be cool, but I don't realize how big these fucking things are. They're huge. They're bigger than a regular giant elephant from Africa. We don't need them. We don't need those giant birds. I don't know. You see them one, they're like 25 feet. They were fucking monsters. They fucking ate giant dinosaurs. They want to bring those back. Why? Why would you want to bring some of these shit back? I don't get it. I really don't. And that's what I was getting at. It all makes sense with I was throwing in what happened in Lancasters, and James was talking about green lights. There's all kinds of weird shit going on. Are we really seeing them fall? And I think there's an inner battle between all these people. They want it to come out, and then some people don't. They want to keep it the way it was for 10,000 years. And we're catching on. And so instead of letting us know they're going to keep fighting this battle and making people look bad and doing all this shit on TikTok, they're keeping us all occupied on bullshit. The stuff that's going on. And eventually what's going to happen is it's going to crash somewhere in a populated area, and people are going to see it. There's going to be no way of lying about it. Now, I have a theory what's going to happen, though. All of a sudden, a nuclear bomb hits in the middle of New York. It must have been somebody else. They'll blame it on somebody else, but we know what really happened. Somebody's video will leak before that, and we'll all see what really happens. But they'll play it off. You guys, they're really good at this. They'll say, oh, no, that was just fake footage. Everything's fake. Everything's fucking fake. Remember that. Sometimes it's not. The truth comes and works its way out and through everything. Remember that. The truth always comes out. And when the truth comes out, you people are going to be shocked. I'm not, James. I'm probably going to be even shocked. I hate to say this, James. I think we're going to even be shocked to what is really going on. No one knows exactly everything, and I'm not going to say I do. I think that we're going to even be more finding stuff out we didn't even know existed, and they do. And it's going to blow our minds away. Even though we know some of the stuff, we don't know everything. And it's going to be, and no one's going to ever know everything. It's impossible. But we're going to find out more and more shit that we didn't even think of. And they're real. And they've been watching this for hundreds of years, thousands of years. And we've just been playing video games. Hey, look at the game we're playing. You know what? Did you ever think of the video games? They make us, what they're playing us. They're playing us like a video game. And you think about it, we're just getting too much. There's 8 billion people that live in the world. No, the United States, the world, and there's no way of controlling it. That's why we have so many problems. We have too many people. Eli Musk, we don't. We do for the populated areas we're in. If we lived in the ocean like we could be living on other planets. We could be living in different places. For some reason, they don't want us there. There's stuff there they don't want us to see, and their delusions won't work anymore. If you're under the ocean, there's a colony of people live in the ocean, 15,000 people. All of a sudden, you see a giant monster in the ocean. Can't keep saying it isn't real anymore. So if you live in our Antarctica and you start seeing weird shit all the time, you can't keep saying that's fake anymore. Now, I don't believe all the shit like the boat. I don't know if you've seen it. This guy's, he's on a boat and it looks like Antarctica, and he's going into this cave, and all of a sudden there's a moon on the ground and all this new world. And I was like, come on, get the fuck out of here. TikTok's so much full of shit, dude. And that's the stuff that I'm talking about. That's just ignorant shit that I see. But some of this stuff isn't fake. Just like the one, I don't know, you see the one that had like 7 moons? I don't know if you saw that, James. It was coming down. It had 7 suns or something. It was like a line of suns, and they showed it was like a weird looking thing. Something's going on that they can't control it no more. There's a war going on, and within a war, and keeping us at chaos right now they're still getting away with it. But eventually it's coming out. Somebody already has it out, and they're just afraid to do it because they're going to die. The greatest thing I ever realized of what the world does is lie about stuff instead of telling the truth. Why? Just tell the truth. It's everybody. It's all governments. Everybody. They're all sneaky. And then they get caught, and then they make up another lie. And they get caught doing something else. Just tell the truth. That was what you're meant to do, not lie. It seems like everybody's lies. And that's what we're doing. We're living a constant lie. I'm not saying us lying right now. I'm saying that they keep lying to us about shit instead of just being honest. But like most people, like we were saying, they rather believe bullshit. And I don't understand that. Why? Because you're scared of the truth? One day the truth's coming. And it doesn't matter. You ain't going to be able to be scared anymore. It's because it's going to happen. I'm sick of being lied to. Just be the fucking honest. But they're not going to. We all know that. Or if they do, it's going to be a bullshit part of it, and it's not true. And there's going to be other shit they don't want to tell us. We've given them way too much power, and there's nothing we can do about it anymore. We can sit here and say whatever we want. Me and James can do these shows on Worst Cruise, Staring, whatever fucking show you want. A couple people listen. Oh, yeah, but I can't let people know that I really believe this way, or because I might lose my job, or people think I'm crazy, or this and that. I get it. I understand that. So does James. We both know that. We're having this discussion earlier. You have to worry about you have to bring food on the table. But who told you had to bring food on the table? Who? Who said you have to work? They do. They tell you have to work, but why? Why do we have to pay taxes? Why? Oh, we'll go to jail? Why? Why would anybody want to pay taxes? I'm not saying against it, but think about this. You guys made it to the point where no matter what you do, you could people. Oh, we got chips. They don't have to have chips. With the phone we're on right now, they know what we're doing. You're not fooling anybody. As soon as I get in my car, 27 miles away from your work, I didn't even put it in, and it knows where I'm going. You know, every time you use your card, they know where you're mapping, and they're mapping everything you're doing. Oh, you want the AM PM? They know. The bank has the records. The card has the records. They know what you do. They just map out what you do. You go to Carl's Jr. 2 or 3 times a month, they know you're doing it. They don't need all this shit. They know what you're doing already. People using cards, they know everything. You use your phone for GPS, they know you used it. Trust me. They know you're driving your car. You're not fooling anybody. They know what you're doing. I mean, maybe not everything, but they're not stupid. They know where you're going. They know how your pattern is. Joe Smo kicking it at the house, they don't care about. They don't care about us. They'll threaten us with something, and then most of the time the regular Joe will back off. People have money, they'll find a way to destroy you. They'll lie and tell you some bullshit of what you didn't do, or make up some stuff that most people will run from. Only a few people don't. Don't need to get into that because it's not a politics show. But you got to be careful what you say, and that's just how life is. I get it. So, and that's crazy. That's the kind of world we live in. But it is what it is. But these things are coming around. There's all kinds of shit being seen, especially out in my part of the world, in the deserts. There's a lot of military bases out here. Area 51's out here. Edwards Air Force Base. George used to be out here. They turned George Air Force Base into it's going to be an international airport station soon. They have a lot of people bringing packages and flying out here now. They have a couple other. They have the Army base. My friend works as the one out there in Barstow. So there's a lot of military around here. Or I think there's a couple other ones out there. I don't know all their names. I know Irwin. Irwin's the big one, and Irvin is the other one. There's all kinds of stuff, especially in San Diego, LA, and all that, Long Beach. The Navy's out there and stuff. But there's a lot of military action in this areas, especially Area 51. You know it's there. You know the controversy about that place. And I always will believe there's something there, but I think they moved a lot of shit in Area 51 to the one in Colorado because there's supposed to be another one out there. And then they have another one in Montana, and they have them all over the place. Trust me, that isn't the only place. They do that for purpose so you can think it's that Area 51, but it gets moved. But they blatantly do it in front of your face because that's what they do. Area 51 pretends that they don't have nothing there, and they really do, and they make you think you have it somewhere else, and they're still doing what they're doing. It's never going to change. And then when they were laughing, when they were going to try to charge that place, and that idiot lady tried to go in there and got arrested, I'm telling you, you step 5 feet into Area 51, you actually walk in, you'll watch what happens to you. They may not shoot you because there's too many cameras around, but trust me, your life will be ruined. They'll find a way to ruin it. You can't play with that kind of stuff, guys. It's always secretive. It's crazy how people want to be so secretive about destroying the world. Einstein regretted making nuclear weapons. He did the atom, and then Hoffenheim. The movie. I've seen some of it. I haven't got to see all of that. It was pretty good. It just got too long, and he regretted it. Those bombs should have never been made, but they were going to get made by somebody. Somebody was going to make these kind of bombs, and they're making worse ones than you think. They're making worse weapons you can never imagine. The lasers are coming. You know what those lasers are? I think that's practice of what their new weapons are. Because they showed the laser. Remember the one that shoots down and can kill you now? That's real. The Star Wars stuff. Um, and that's why I try to tell people you're not hiding from anything. They watch what you're watching. They see what you're paying for. They see what you buy. They know everything you're doing. They know what you like to do before you do. And they'll find somebody to pretend to be your friend to make sure they know. That's why I said you never really know if somebody's really your friend. That's what's crazy. You never know. You never know what they really are, or what they think of you, or what they're willing to do. They could want to kill you for all you know. It could be Jeffrey Dahmer wanting to cut you in pieces and eat you. I can say that now because of our show. But I'm just really wondering what's going on, man, because there's a lot of ships out here, man. Like they showed the one picture. I didn't get there's like 30, 40 of these things in the air, man. And they were going all over the place. Then they showed another one. There was this field that they were chasing each other around. It was like in Nebraska or something. I don't know if you saw that video. That was a couple of days ago, James, where they showed the two things chasing each other around. They look like UFOs, and they were going in different circles in a crop field. It was crazy. I saw that one. There's all these videos, and it's like every other day there's something. They show these giant weird ships. What was it? The satellite, the Black Scorpion satellite or whatever it is. You see the Scorpion. Remember, it looks like they showed it and it disappeared. There's all kinds of stuff out there, bro. And some of these ships, there's no way that they're ours. And I know I'm right. You just don't want to say nothing. But other than that being said, that's what I wanted to talk about. What was going on? I threw some other things. I just wanted to get some topics out there. We usually have topics, but now we had this one because of a lot of stuff's going on with aliens. And I just wanted to give a couple views out there and a couple things that people have been telling me, and and I've been seeing. And this alien thing is, people need to realize they're real. I don't care what you think. They're real. They're fucking real. And I know some of it's military. Don't get me wrong. And some of it's bullshit, but it's real. It's that I think those videos were real. I don't think it was fake. It was like 20 of them, bro. There's 20 of them. All kinds of people saw this shit. Don't say it's drones. They're not that huge. Drones was huge, man. If that was a big ass drone, drones are big, decent size, but not this. It was big as a fucking. It's like you see it. You see this big old ship, and you see all these lights, and it's going in different circles and all this shit. That ain't no drone. Get the fuck out of here. There's like 3 or 4 of them in a row. It's no drone. That's what they're gonna say. Just like Roswell, it was a giant blimp that. Come on, bullshit. We all know Roswell. What really happened there? They were showing him pounding the fuck out of that metal, and it didn't do nothing. Shot it. And if you look at, you've seen the new, I know you see the new Tesla trucks, right? Have you seen those, James? You know they're bulletproof, right? And why? Why? Why do you have to why are you making a car bulletproof? That's another thing. Why is Tesla making shit bulletproof? The glass is bulletproof.
Because Elon has way too much money,
Yeah.
and he loves movies and shit like that, and he thought it would be cool to make the same reason he sent a car into space, just for the fuck of it, just because he can, and he thought it would be funny.
Eli?
You know what I mean? And it's the funny thing about the Cybertruck too is Rogan shot an arrow with his compound bow, and Rogan keeps his bow at like 80, 90 pound drawback, so that's a powerful fucking shot. And it just bounced right the fuck off of there, man.
Well, just so people know, is if I start my business, we might get one of those. Just so you know, we're me and my wife are talking about starting a business selling like kind of like witchy kind of stuff, pagan stuff, knickknacks, and we're gonna start it sooner than later. So I was just gonna start advertising it sooner and stuff like that. I'll be making like I'm really have to help my wife with this. This isn't just gonna be me. I really have to help her with this. But I'm gonna use some like I was showing her some of the stuff we were gonna do, and I was gonna do like Loch Ness monster slime and Bigfoot serum and all this. We're gonna do stuff like that and use some of the some of the cryptos in it and alien like blood and stuff like it. Just we're gonna do stuff like that, and that's why it ties into the show. And we'll let you know when it happens. But if I want to get one of those trucks, even though they're ugly as fuck. I saw them. They're cool. They're just. It looks like an '80s movie. I mean, they're just ugly as hell. But you can decal them. You know that, right? You can put whatever you want on them. And I was looking at it, it's like I know Jackie will fucking kill me, but I want to. What I was gonna do is, like put Ash from Evil Dead on it, like the skeleton on each side, and fucking decal it like that. That'd be kind of cool. She'd probably kick my ass though, but that would be kind of cool having the chainsaw and stuff like as you can. I saw the one dude had like it wasn't that one, but it was something else. Like it was like the Incredible Hulk. It was badass, dude. Like it had the Hulk on it. And like Deadpool and Wolverine, like you can get these decals and you can put them on there. It's like $25,000. But it does. It looks like the old '80s movies, Space Pirates and all that. I like those movies. I love sci-fi, but that's what it looks like. One of those fucked up '80 movie trucks. I'm like, where the fuck did they get this idea? But it's him. Eli's is a different dude, guys. Some of the stuff he's talking about lately, but he's a cool guy because you know what? He's so smart for his own good. Like, dude's smart. He barely got a house like recently. He didn't even want a house. He used to sleep in his fucking. He said a house is pointless. Most millionaires do say that now. You can never move your house. That's why. People move in you hate. You can't get away from them unless you sell the house. So I get it. But yeah, those trucks are kind of cool. I'm surprised you haven't got one yet and done something with it. Star kick your ass.
I'm gonna buy something. I'm in the market for something because my truck's engine blew up. So now all I have is a Jeep, and I'm in the market to buy something soon. But I want to make sure it's what I want before I go get another vehicle. You know what I mean? But you covered a whole bunch of stuff. Whenever we do a show like this, I got to be careful what I say on some topics. So I'm going to start kind of knocking these off one by one of the things that he talked about. We'll start with the cloning. Cloning, bringing back the mammoth, bringing back saber-tooth tigers, all those kind of things. That's all bullshit. I'm not saying it's not real, but it's bullshit. And I'll explain to you why it's bullshit. Once a species goes extinct, that's it. There is no bringing that species back, ever. At all. That's it. Now, what they're doing with the mammoth is they're creating a new creature that's not a mammoth, but it's going to look enough like a mammoth that we can call it a mammoth, but it is not a mammoth. So what they'll do is they'll take like the Asian elephant because it's close, it's in the same family, and they will take some mammoth DNA and they will impregnate an Asian elephant with it. So then what you have once that elephant gives birth is a hybrid that is part mammoth, part Asian elephant. That's what they have to do with anything that they clone. It's not like they can just like 3D print a new animal. So once something goes extinct, it's extinct forever. There is no bringing the mammoth back. There's no bringing anything back. But what they'll do is they'll create a hybrid creature that has some of the mammoth's genetic material, but it is not actually a mammoth. It's not anywhere close. They've been working on this technology for a long, long time, since like the 30s and 40s, the 1930s and 40s. It actually started in a major way, believe it or not, during the time right before World War II with the Nazis. They wanted to bring back a couple different animals that were animals that their ancestors hunted that had gone extinct. One of them was a form of European bison. And that one, they tried to recreate it using cattle. Because there was the bison, and then there was this other animal that was like a version of a cow, but it was much bigger than a cow, and its horns were way, way bigger and wider. So they were trying to, the name escapes me right at the moment. I apologize. It's been decades since I've researched any of this. But what they did was they scoured the world looking for all the different kinds of cattle that there were. And they would say, okay, well, this breed of cattle has gigantic horns like this thing did. So we'll take that. And then this cattle has the size, it's much bigger than a normal cow. So we can take a little bit of that. And this one has a temperament, because this thing was a mean son of a gun. So this one has a temperament. It's really mean like this was. So then what they'll do is they'll start interbreeding them to create offspring. And then the offspring that have any of those characteristics, they'll keep. And the offspring that don't, they don't keep. And then they just keep interbreeding like that until they get something that looks kind of like the animal that they were trying to bring back. But in all reality, genetically, it just isn't. It's not even really all that close. Now, that was back in World War II time. Technology has progressed to the point to where we can do this with artificial insemination, do it in a lab, so to speak. But still, it's the same exact thing we were doing back then. It's simply trying to create something that is a reasonable facsimile of that creature, but is not actually that creature. It's impossible to bring something back once it goes in state. Simply because you have to have a mother and a father, right, in order to create a baby. That's simple biology. So if you don't have any of the animals left alive, then even if you have the genetic material, you still need a semen sample from that animal, and you still need eggs from that animal in order to create life. So all you're doing is giving it a helping hand. You're not creating life. You're just helping the process along. The same way a woman, if she can't get pregnant normally, will go in and get artificial insemination, like in vitro fertilization, that kind of stuff. Same basic principle, but just with animals. And that's essentially all they're doing. But it's not the animal. So that's one. Let's go to another one. Why can't they just tell the truth? The answer to that is that even if you did, nobody would believe it. That's the problem. Because the truth about a lot of this stuff is so outlandish that there's no way normal people would look at it and say, okay, that's true. They would right away say that's bullshit. It's ridiculous. Like, why do the Simpsons predict so many events that actually happen? That's a question everybody's asking. Well, the answer to that is simple, and I can give you the answer to that question. But you're not going to believe me when I do. That's the problem. Because the answer sounds crazier than what you would imagine the truth to be in your own mind. The actual true answer to that, the reason they can predict it is because they're letting you know in advance what they're going to do. Because the world is run by an elite cabal of people that are not the people you're voting for. Okay? Those people have to tell you what they're going to do. That's the rule. The reason it's the rule is not because some man made it a rule. It's because it's all involved with demon worship. We're talking Moloch, we're talking Baal. And the laws of that particular rituals and the magic that they're using state that you have to make the people you're using the magic and the rituals on aware of it in order to free yourself of any bad juju, bad karma, bad vibes from it. Okay, that's what these people believe. So when they let us know through movies and through shows like The Simpsons what is coming, that checks that box for them. They say, hey, we let them know. We put it out there in a movie. It's not our fault that they don't understand that that's not real. You know, that they think it's just make-believe. So that clears their conscience where they say, we can now do this horrific thing we want to do guilt-free and karma-free because we have let them know in advance that it's coming. Okay? That's the real answer. That's the truth. But I guarantee you 99.9% of people that hear that are going to tell me I'm a bold-faced liar. And that's fine. I'm not telling you have to believe what I'm saying. I'm telling you what I'm telling you is the truth. Okay? But it sounds crazy. With the alien thing, right? We got all these sightings. And old boy says, I can't tell you they're not real. Well, they are real. It's not that they're not real. They're actual ships. There's actually stuff going on. But everybody's asking the wrong question. The question isn't, is this real or is this CGI? The question isn't, is this real or is it Photoshop? The question is, of course it's real. We can all see that it's real. But what is it? Who is it? Who is in those ships? Okay, and the true answer to that is complicated as well. And we know, see, this is where I got to start being careful. Because I can't say the wrong thing here because I'm not allowed to say the wrong thing here. We know that it's completely declassified, and there's even footage, video footage you can watch of these tests. We know that during the 1950s, the United States government, along with other nations, had saucer technology already. They had prototype test flights of aircraft that looked like a flying saucer from the 1950s drive-in movies, okay? And there's actual video footage of a test pilot getting into this thing, bringing it up from the ground, and flying around in it. Okay, that was in the 1950s. Imagine the technology that we have today. Understand that the cutting edge technology in aviation that gets declassified that we know about. I'm talking stuff like the new stealth technology planes and planes that can go Mach 5, Mach 6, those kind of things. That technology has been in the process of being tested and worked on for decades before it ever gets to be something that's used regularly in the military. And then it's used regularly for quite a while before it's ever declassified so that you even know about it. Okay? So you're talking 20, 30 years back that stuff was flying around, that we now know that is our technology, that are our planes. But 20 or 30 years ago, that stuff was flying around in the skies. And if you saw one and you told anybody and they asked the government about it, the government said, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't have any such aircraft. And some of the people that tell you that will probably be telling the truth because they don't know about it. Because it's classified material. And it doesn't matter what your rank is. It doesn't matter what your job is necessarily. See, people have a misconception about how education works. They think if you're above a certain rank, that means you know everything. That's not the truth. You could have the highest level, like Q-level clearances and stuff, and it still doesn't matter. You're still not going to know what's going on unless you have a need to know, unless you can be read in on a project, right? Let's kind of segue from this to Mars, what old boy was talking about earlier, okay? So say you're working on the Mars project, and the point of this project is the terraforming of Mars, not to make it like Earth necessarily yet, because that takes a long time, but simply to make the natural resources that already occur there in a more readily available and easier to use state. Okay? In the soil of Mars, there's ice. Ice, as everybody knows, is hydrogen and oxygen. Okay? It's frozen water. So in that one resource that you have to mine and figure out how to get, and then you have to turn it into water by melting it. And then if you want to isolate it, you have to break it apart, okay? In breaking it apart, you receive two very important elements. You get hydrogen and you get oxygen. Oxygen obviously is very, very important for breathing, right? We need that shit to stay alive. Hydrogen is also very, very important because hydrogen is an incredible source of energy, okay? So hydrogen can be used to fuel ships, can be used to run your whole facility electric-wise. There's a lot of different very, very good uses. Now, on Mars, you have everything you need, really. The problem is you need to set up habitat for us to actually live, okay? So say you're working that project, and say that you're not a very high rank at all. You know, well, you're high rank, but you're not super high. Let's say you're just a master's sergeant or something, right? Now, you don't have the proper rank to know a lot of the really, really big secrets. But say you're working on something like that project, well, maybe there's some classified material that is something you ordinarily would not be allowed to know, but you need to work on that material. So you'll be what's called read into the project, where they'll bring you in and they'll sit you in a room and they'll say, okay, listen, everything you're about to see, this is all classified. You're not allowed to share it with anybody, blah, blah, blah. They give you the whole spiel. If you're a civilian, you go through the paperwork, you sign the NDAs, all that shit. If you're military, then you just get read the Riot Act. You're not allowed to tell anybody all that stuff, right? Sometimes you still have to sign NDAs depending on what it is. So then they read you into it. They say, this is what we've got. This is what it is. This is what we need from you. Okay, now they don't read you into the entire project. So there's a bunch of shit over here that's super classified too that you don't know about. You just know about that one little thing that you're going to be working on. That's how it actually works. So say you have to work on that, you're going to get read into that portion. But say you're somebody that is a higher rank, that's in that area still, you might not know about any of that shit. Because all of that shit they're working on, classified-wise, is going to be worked on in a base that does something else. So that you don't know what's going on there. You go to that base and you think, oh, that's just a normal base. You know, it's got a BX, it's got a commissary, it's got a motor pool, it's got everything a normal base has. But it also has this warehouse over here, and in that warehouse they're working on this shit that you don't know about. You see, that's how it kind of works. So you might be the base commander of that base, the highest ranking official on that base, and you may have no fucking idea what's actually being worked on your own base because you don't have that need to know. That's how classification works. So when they ask somebody, hey, we saw this shit in the sky, is this you? That base commander might very honestly and truthfully look you right in the face and say, no, we don't have anything like that. And he might be telling you the truth as far as he knows it. But that doesn't mean it's the truth, okay? It's only the truth to him because he's not read into the project, so he doesn't know what the fuck's actually going on. Now, with that being said, we're going to go back to the Mars thing that I was just talking about because that's the next topic Old Boy talked about. We'll get into that a little bit. He said that we can already go there. That's true. We can already go there. He asked why they won't let us already go there. I kind of touched on that a little bit already, and I'll expand. In order for us to go there, there has to be a lot of stuff that is established for us to stay there. Okay, just going there is not an issue. We can just go there now if we want to. We know how to get there. We have the technology to get there. It's doable. We've already done it. Okay, we know we can go there. Coming back, it's a little trickier. The reason it's a little trickier is because fuel. Okay, that's the issue. You can only carry so much fuel from Earth before the weight is too much in order to overcome Earth's gravity and leave the atmosphere. That's always been the problem for long-term spaceflight, is you cannot carry enough fuel to get off the Earth and where you're going and back if you're going too far. Because if you do carry enough fuel to do that, it's too heavy and you can't get out of the Earth's atmosphere and you can't get into space. You don't have enough thrust. That's the issue, okay? So if you want to send somebody there on a suicide mission, we could absolutely do that now. We could send them there and they just ain't never fucking coming home because we can't get them home, right? That's the issue. Now, if you set up properly first, then it's doable. Now remember what I told you, frozen ice under the soil, hydrogen, oxygen. That hydrogen is a fuel source. So before we send men to Mars to set up a colony there, what we have to do first is launch a shit ton of unmanned flights. Now these unmanned flights are basically just cargo flights. They're truckers is what they are. You're going to pack a rocket with as much shit as it can carry that you need. And you're going to aim that fucker and shoot it towards Mars. And when it gets there, you're going to land it remotely. And it's just going to sit there. And then you're going to do it again, and again, and again, and again. We're talking for a small colony, depending on the size of the ships, anywhere from 20 to 200 flights before men ever go to Mars. Because that's what it takes to get the infrastructure there so that when they land, they can very quickly set shit up and have enough to live until they can start producing their own. Okay? Now, when you do this, it's not like you're just packing a bunch of shit like you're putting it in a U-Haul and heading down the road. You're actually sending entire habs. These are habitats that are already built on Earth, put together, everything's ready to go. You shoot them off with a bunch of cargo. When they get there, they're just sitting there waiting on you. So when you actually fly to Mars, the very first thing you do is you go and you open those habs up and you set them up. They're already built. You just get them all powered and all ready to go. You've got batteries there in the cargo. You've got food. You've got water. You've got oxygen. You've got everything you need packed already that you sent there over all those flights so that you can set that hab up and you can live there for an extended period of time. Now, one of those habs is a living quarter. One of those habs has your kitchen and all that shit in it. And then another one of those habs are different laboratories to do the different things that you need. They're almost like production facilities. Okay, that's where you're going to be producing the hydrogen from the ice so that you can actually fuel the shit. That's where you're going to be producing the oxygen so that you can supply the life support. That's the work that has to take place in order to get a colony off the ground. And that is why we can't go right now. Because we don't, I mean, we can go, but we don't have the infrastructure in place to survive once we go. That's the issue. So right now, what's happening right now? This is another area I got to be careful. What's happening right now is the construction of all of those things that are going to be sent to Mars. Okay, all the habs, all the cargo, the ships to carry them, giant starships, big fucking starships, all that stuff is being constructed now. Once they're ready, then they'll be launched and filled and launched and sent there. Okay, that's going to take place probably over the next, I would say, decade at least of just getting all this shit put together, built, and launched. And it's not all going to launch all at once, probably. It's going to be as they get ready, probably, and we can get them out there, we get them out there, you know? That's kind of the process. And then once everything's in place, everything will be checked and rechecked and checked again to make sure that everything's right and everything we need is there and everything's ready and good. And then the planning will begin for the manned flights. In the beginning, it'll be a skeleton crew just going there to set up, just to make sure that we get shit set up so that everybody can survive when they get there. But later, after that, once there's an established colony that's producing what it needs, after that, there's going to be colony ships going. And those ships are going to hold hundreds of people at a time. And that's where we're going to populate the colonies on Mars. That's down the road, 20, 30 years. But that's coming in the future. Then the only question really will be, what's the criteria for who's going? You know, you got to have skill sets. You got to be somebody that is useful. You can't be a leech, because there ain't no room for a leech on a frontier, man. You know what I mean? They die pretty quick. You got to be somebody that has the skill set in order to contribute. You have to be somebody that's in really good health without, you know, a bunch of genetic diseases, markers, all that kind of shit. There's a bunch of stuff. But I would say within the next 50 years, we will have an established colony on Mars, populated by multiple thousands of people. So we'll be a bi-planetary species at that point. We'll have an established civilization on Earth, obviously, and established civilization on Mars. Now, why do we want to do that? What's the point? Well, the point is exactly that, to be a bi-planetary species. Because if something happens here, that's the end of us. That's the problem. If big ass asteroid hits the Earth and kills everybody, we're fucked. You know, that could be an extinction level event for us. And if that happens, humanity's gone. If some crazy ass plague breaks out on Earth and kills everybody, that's it. You know, we're dead. We're gone. But if you're a biplanetary species, you have more than one planet that you populate. If something happens here on Earth, there's still humanity on Mars that can continue. If something happens on Mars and wipes everybody out, there's still humanity on Earth. Okay, now this is you ever play that game Leapfrog when you're a kid, where you bend over and the fucker jumps over your back and then you jump over their back? That's the basic theory here. Earth, we have. Mars is next. We build a colony on Mars, then we leapfrog again to the next planet we can make work. Okay? There's also talk about doing something on the moon, maybe even before we get the Mars colony established. And the reason for that is not because the moon is a groovy place to survive. It's pretty barren and boring. But the reason for that is the gravity on the moon is 1/6 of that of Earth. And that's very important when you're talking about trying to move a lot of weight. Remember me telling you can only carry so much weight, otherwise you can't get out of the atmosphere. So you got to understand that a lot of that weight is going to be fuel in order to make it to Mars. You need a lot of fuel to escape the atmosphere, but the good thing is those drop off when you get up near space. You're burning with those big solid booster rockets, you're burning a shit ton of fuel, but then it falls off. So you don't have to worry about that. It's off before you leave the atmosphere. You also have 2 side rockets that are smaller booster rockets that are also fairly close to the Earth, will drop off. But a lot of your payload inside is going to be your fuel that's going to get you to Mars. So that's going to take up a considerable amount of weight. So you're not going to be able to ship as much stuff. But if you don't have to carry all that fuel because you're not going to Mars, if you're just going to the moon, you don't have to carry not even a little bit of that fuel. I mean, a bunch of it, you can use that weight for freight. So then if you do that, you can stage everything on the moon, build a little base on the moon first, and then launch from the moon to Mars. Because the moon, once again, 1/6 the gravity of Earth, that means you can fit a lot more cargo and a lot more fuel and still be able to launch it from the moon and get it off the ground. Whereas on Earth, you can't get out of the atmosphere with that kind of weight. So that's the reasoning behind the idea of making a base on the moon in order to stage a lot of that freight stuff that's going to Mars on first and then launch from there so we can do more in a trip. You know, that's all still in the planning stages. I don't know which way it's going to go yet. It does make a lot of sense, and it would save a lot of money. I know it doesn't sound like it because you're building a big ass base on the moon, so it doesn't sound like you're going to save a lot of money. But you got to understand, you're going to cut down the amount of total flights from around 200 to probably around 120, and in that case, you're saving 80 entire starships and all the fuel and all this shit to launch and to go. That's a lot of cash, you know. So we'll have to see which way it goes. I think building a base on the moon is a good idea because then you got 3. You know, that's what I was saying. 2 is good, 3 is better. Now, the moon isn't as big, but you can still put some people there. You know what I mean? That we can still survive. So that's the answer to that question. The best I can answer it without getting into stuff I'm not supposed to be talking about. Trying to think of what else he asked me. Any other questions, old boy, that you asked during your time that I didn't touch on?
Well, you brought the Simpsons thing. I never really talked about that, but that's kind of true. But that was one of I did. You just added to it, but no, you pretty much got everything other than the Truman thing. That's one thing you forgot.
Yeah, the Truman thing. I don't think it's so much that we are entertainment for them, that they're watching us like that. Although we would be good entertainment, because think about it. This planet is the most fucked up reality show you ever want to hear about. We are absolutely out of our fucking minds. And we do some crazy shit. And it would be entertaining for a civilized species to sit and watch. I mean, think about it. If you were watching a show about our history, but you didn't live here and you didn't know nothing about it, that would be the craziest damn show you ever watched. It'd be a cliffhanger all the time. You'd be like, he did what? And then they did what? Oh my God. You know what I mean? So I can see the idea there. I think more than likely, we are just in the way. We are, like, if you go and you are looking for gems or something like that, right? Diamonds or something like that. And you run across this cave that has a bunch of diamonds everywhere. It's just filled with diamonds and different kinds of gemstones, and just unbelievable wealth in that cave. And you're like, oh, this is awesome. But then also in that cave, the entire floor is filled with deadly snakes, different kinds of vipers and stuff like that, stuff that'll kill you in a minute. That sucks. They're in the way. Now, you could go in there and try to wipe all them sumbitches out, but the problem is they're mean as shit, and they don't give up. They will try to kill you until you kill every single one of them. That's us. We are not necessarily entertainment. We are the floor full of snakes. And what I think that a lot of these species of aliens want is our resources. They want our gold. They want our diamonds, stuff like that. Not because they're pretty and they want to take them home and give them to their old lady. Because a lot of these things are very, very valuable in computing and electronics. Like gold is in every laptop and every desktop computer, every phone's got gold in it. Because they're great conductors of electricity and they're great in those aspects. You're also talking a lot of these rare earth minerals that are used in like electric cars and shit now. A lot of those things have a lot of applications in computing and advanced technologies. So my guess would be that since our planet is so rich in a lot of those rare earth minerals and gold and stuff like that that are so useful, silver is another one that's super useful in technology. More than likely, the reason why they keep coming here is because they want our materials, our resources. And I think more than likely, the reason why they have communicated with our governments and our governments have deals with these things in a lot of cases, is not because they're afraid of them or whatever. It's basically, look, we want your stuff. We want these minerals, but we don't want to have to wipe all of you out to get it, because that's going to be a very long war. We're going to have to bring a shit ton of people here to fight you, and it's not going to end well for either one of us. We're all going to take losses because you guys are fucking out of your minds. So let's make a deal. Now, mankind, the way we are, we're greedy, and we always want to have an advantage over our enemies because we're always at war with somebody. So it's a very plausible idea to think that they said, look, we will give you some technology. We will teach you how to build these ships and stuff like that in exchange for your gold, in exchange for these minerals and these minerals, right? That can tie into a lot of different things. Like the idea that a lot of the gold in Fort Knox and places like that, it just isn't there anymore. That's why they never let anybody in to look at it or to count it or to make sure that it's there, is because it's not there. It's gone. That could be why it's gone, because we made a deal. Hey, we look at all this gold we got. You want gold, baby? We got gold. But we want that ship right there. How you do that? Teach us how to do that shit. You know, we know from the 1950s that we were working on that technology. We know that we were doing test flights of that technology, like I talked about earlier. And we know what the capabilities are now. Right? Just in the declassified stuff. That's not counting the stuff that's still classified. That's not counting laser technology. That's not counting sonic technology. You want to go down a fucking rabbit hole. Go down that rabbit hole. Now, I got to warn you, some of that shit is bullshit. That's the problem with classified stuff, is the people that know don't talk about it. And the people that talk about it don't know. At least not everything. So there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of bullshit, a lot of speculation, and a lot of people that just want to talk shit to get views, okay? But there's some really interesting technology out there that, how the fuck would we get? I mean, understand that we went from vacuum tubes, okay, and transistors to microchips and CPUs with no transition. Like, one day we were all using vacuum tubes and shit like that in our TVs. The next day, TVs are completely different. Everything's completely different. Now, not literally the next day, but very quickly we made that switch over. And that old technology is now obsolete for the most part. Where did we get that? Where did we get microchips? Where did we get all of that stuff? How did it come about so quickly? There's a lot of technology like that just seemed to appear out of nowhere. Now, where it appeared from was from extraterrestrial craft. Some of it from crashed extraterrestrial craft, and some of it made through deals, you know, where, hey, we'll give you this technology, we'll teach you about this in exchange for this, or this. We also know that there was a meeting between Eisenhower and an alien species in which a deal was made that they could abduct some of us in exchange for certain things. I've talked about that on the show before. There's documentation out there to prove that. I'm not telling any secrets I'm not supposed to be telling. That's declassified stuff. Now, it's another one of those cases where it's so outlandish people think it's bullshit. You know what I mean? But make up your own mind. Look for yourself. Go read the documents, and make up your own mind what you think. You know, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. You can completely think I'm full of shit. That's 100% fine with me. It's safer for me if you think I'm full of shit on some things. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just laying it out there for you that this could be a possibility. Why they're here is because they're mining. They're here to get materials they need. And if they are an old civilization, which if they're coming here, they have to be fairly old, because technology has had to progress to the point where they can travel across galaxies and stuff like that, right? So if they're an old civilization, most likely they've mined the ever-loving hell out of their area. So they're looking for resources. You know, that just makes sense. And we are a resource-rich planet. And we are also a greedy planet that is always looking for an advantage over our neighbors so that we can be the big boys on the block. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that that's exactly what happened. You know, not saying 100% it is, not saying 100% it isn't, but it's a possibility. You got anything else, old boy?
No, that's pretty much all. Those are pretty much everything I pretty much covered. I mean, there's probably one or two things we didn't talk about. You know, pretty much that's it. Yeah, there's nothing else I can really remember because I was kind of keeping it all into, you know, I believe there's stuff that they don't want us to know, and I believe that's exactly how you said it. They just, you wouldn't believe it anyway. Like it would be too unbelievable. People would think you're full of shit, and it's better that you're probably right that you pretend that you are full of shit, and because people aren't going to believe it anyway. Because once they see the truth, they'll run in their house and hide. You got a lot of tough people that talk a lot of shit, but
the problem is also is whenever you see things like this, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know whether it's us or them because we have that technology too. So it very well, because of the political climate, because of the things in the world that are happening, where we're looking at a potential World War III, it is very possible that we are out on maneuvers and we are making sure we got our shit straight so that when we have to use these things, we can use them. You know, I think that the green laser lights that people are seeing that are scanning the ground in Vegas and places like that, I think that is exactly that. It's a laser guidance system that is shot down from satellites. That in the old days, if you wanted to bomb something, like you would just drop bombs and hope you hit it. Like you would say, okay, it's down there. Let me try to throw it that way. That's kind of the way it was done out of the bomb bay of planes. And then as technology progressed, laser technology came about, and they would do what's called painting the target. And what that was there had to be a soldier that had a handheld laser cannon, okay? And you would sit there and you would hold this thing, and it wasn't very small, but you would hold this thing and the laser would be on something, like a laser pointer when you're playing with a cat or something, just like that. You would have to actually paint the target with that laser, put that laser on whatever the hell you want that bomb to hit. And you had to sit there and hold that fucking thing. And then they would fire the missile, and the missile would track where that laser was pointing, and that's where that bomb is going. So if you moved, the fucking missile would go over there instead and miss the target. So you had to sit there and hold it. Well, the problem is you can see that fucking laser. So if the missile takes too long getting there and the enemy notices, hey, why is there a fucking laser pointed on us? Like a red dot, what the fuck is going on? Then they're going to send somebody out to try to kill your stupid ass. And you're just sitting there like a dipshit holding the fucking thing on your shoulder just hoping that they get there. So then you got to have people around you that can help protect you long enough for the missile to strike. I think what we have now is well beyond that. We have GPS-guided missile systems that can do it from a satellite, same way you do GPS in your car, and it makes them more accurate most of the time. But the problem is, just like in your car, if you get too much cloud cover, if you get the wrong barometric pressure, it interferes with the signal, and we lose signal. And then all of a sudden, you got a missile that's just doing whatever the fuck it wants to do until it comes back online. So I think this might be new technology that enables them to scan the entire ground with those lasers and get a readout of exactly what's there. And then that's a permanent digital map of that area that they have that the missile can use to find its target. John Deere, the farm tractor company, they do the same thing, believe it or not, with their harvesters and their tractors, to where they use a mapping system. Now, they don't do it from a satellite. They actually come out and map it right there on the field with a laser grid system. But then once they get that digital laser grid system mapped, they can program that into the harvester and literally go and have lunch, and the harvester by itself will harvest that entire field for you. Or they can do it with a tractor and it can plow the entire field or seed the entire field. You can do the entire farming process without people once you do the digital mapping. That technology is already declassified, it already exists. I think what we're looking at with those green lasers is the military application of that. It is a classified digital mapping GPS missile guidance system is what we're looking at, I think. I don't have knowledge on that. That's just an educated guess from being involved in laser guidance projects like that in the past. I think that's probably what we're looking at there.
How about what happened with Lancaster with all those videos? That's the other thing we didn't get to, the Lancaster videos. What started it off with here with all those, what do you think it was?
You talking about the ships? All those lights?
Yeah, all the lights and the videos of the ships next to each other and stuff. What do you think was that?
I think that was ships. But the question is, was it alien or was it ours? With there being so many bases in that area, and with the political tensions in the world right now, and the fact that we got multiple wars going on, and we're looking at a potentially having a big war with Russia, China, Iran, all that, I think most likely it was ours. I think most likely it's our people with classified aircraft that are doing maneuvers and making sure they're trained up and ready to go, because all hell's going to break loose soon. I think that's most likely what it was. But do I know for sure? No, I don't. But if I had to guess, if I had to bet and put my money on it, that's what I would put my money on, is that those belong to us and they're classified, and that's why everybody acts like we don't have them, but we absolutely do have them. We know we have them. So that's what I would say they were.
Well, and that's a good point. I think it might be, but I don't know, because there was different things they seen. I think maybe the ones, but when they had like hundreds of them in the air, I think that might have, maybe that set something off. Maybe that we were testing something and they saw it and they don't want us to be testing it. So, I mean, maybe that could be another possibility. Or it could have been them. Or it could have been us. Or we're getting ready for something like you were saying, a war. That being said, we've done the show for about an hour and a half, guys. So I know James is getting tired. It's a little after 12 where he's at. Remember, it's a 3-hour difference here. So that being said, I'm glad that you guys liked the show. We did a little bit things differently here. We do now having a lot more time. We can do this shit. We can talk about stuff. We don't have to hurry up and get it all in one bunch in an hour. And let's go. We got to get it going. And all I'm going to say is that I'm glad you guys liked the show on Parax Radio every Sunday nights at 12 a.m. Eastern, 9 Pacific, and the Best Of Show Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., 5 Pacific. On Spotify, Cloud, we're on everything other than Apple. YouTube, you want to follow us on YouTube, subscribe to James Hersey's YouTube page. The reason why why do you have everything on James's page? It's not staring. We already had it established, so we decided to do it that way. So that's why people, I think it throws us off, because James's name's on it instead of staring, and we're screwed, because we've been doing, and check out, we just had a new episode of We're Screwed, guys. Check that out. It's already out on Spotify and Facebook and YouTube. And I think he's going to start putting on Cloud soon. So once he gets it on Cloud, we'll be bigger. But see, with We're Screwed, we could put it on other things like Apple and stuff like that. And that's probably one eventually we're going to do, maybe one of them, down the line. But that being said, you guys want merchandise, you know where to go. He'll tell you if he wants. They get the cheap plug. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It was something we wanted to talk about. And we didn't get to do a lot of talking last week because James had COVID. So it's been 2 weeks since we did the show. And so we had to do it all, talk about all kinds of stuff that we were going to talk in 2 weeks. So we did it all at once. I hope you guys have a good night. It's almost September, guys. Only a month, a little over, under a month now of summer. And it's going to be getting cold again, motherfuckers. Have a good night, Misfits, True Ladies, Monster Livers, Demon Hunters. I fucking love you, and have a good night, and blessed motherfucking be.
Yeah, we made a decision very early on to just go with that channel because, like Old Boy said, it was already established because I'm an author and all that stuff. So I already had the YouTube channel that I would like do reader questions, that kind of shit on. And we did multiple shows. Like when we started, we were doing Revolution Radio, we were doing We're Screwed, we were doing Staring. So there was multiple shows that we were doing. And we always knew that at least 2 of those shows were going to survive and be long-term things. We ended up bringing We're Screwed back. We had We're Screwed going for a while, and then we stopped and concentrated on Staring, because Staring was the most successful of all the shows. And once it kind of really started blowing up, and we got on Para-X and it started going out all over the world and all that stuff, we decided let's just concentrate on Staring for a while and get that established and get that going good to where we want it. And then once we're comfortable there, then we can, go back to something else too. And we've been talking for quite a while about what our next show is going to be. We're going to keep doing Staring, obviously, but we always wanted to do something else as well. And we went back and forth between bringing We're Screwed back or doing a completely different kind of show. And in the end, we just decided to bring We're Screwed back because, honestly, We're Screwed is the most fun show that we do and have ever done. We had more fun on We're Screwed than any other show. Staring is awesome too. I love Staring because we get to talk about some really interesting, fun stuff. But We're Screwed is literally anything goes. You never know what the fuck we're going to talk about on We're Screwed. And that's part of the fun of it. But the other problem with We're Screwed is there was a fairly expansive cast for We're Screwed. Ant-Man was on there. Tammy G was on there. Eric was on there once in a while. So it was like, do we bring the show back? And then if we bring it back, should we bring everybody back, or should we just keep me and Old Boy the core and then figure out what we want to do? That was kind of one of those things where like Ant-Man didn't really have any interest in doing radio anymore. Tammy, I'm sure she might have had interest, but Tammy has had a lot of issues. And I don't mean that in an insulting way or a bad way. I love Tammy to death. It's nothing like that. She's had some health issues because she had some medication that she had a very, very bad reaction to. And she has times when she's just not well and she's doing poorly. And my decision on it was, and I'll tell you why I made the decision, because people should know this. Because I'm not hiding anything. I'll tell you exactly what my thinking was. I love Tammy. I would have loved to have Tammy come back to do the show. But I didn't want to put any pressure on her to feel that she needed to be there when she wasn't feeling well or when she was going through it, because there's times where her health gets to the point to where it's kind of unbearable to her. You know what I mean? And basically, I just didn't want to put all that shit on top of her back. Because with doing We're Screwed also comes a lot of arguing and bullshit that comes along with it too, from people that watch the show that don't agree with you. And I didn't want to put the additional stress or the additional discomfort on her back. So that's why that decision was made not to do that. And I'll take the hit for that if there's any fallout, because that's my thinking, is I don't want to overload her. So then we decided, okay, well, how do we want to do this then? Do we want to do it just me and Old Boy, or do we want to try to bring somebody else in? And the idea, kind of like right now, Andy's doing it with us, but the idea is not to get rid of Andy. That's not what I'm saying here. But the idea is to have a revolving cast of people to where, like, I'm always here, Old Boy's always here, but we have another third person come in, every once in a while. Like Andy will do a show, and then X person will do a show, then this person will do a show, then this person, like that. You know what I mean? Like have that extra person always kind of be rotating around to different people. Not like every week. I mean, Andy will do more shows than probably anybody else will, but having a guest person come in, you know what I mean? That was my original idea for it, was for it to be me and Old Boy and to have just somebody else come on that was interesting. Not really as our guest, but just as the third member of the show for the week, And I thought that would be a fun way to do it, and it would be an interesting way to do it. I don't know exactly where we're going to go with it right now, to be honest with you. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We love Andy to death, and Andy's always welcome on the show. You know what I mean? It's not like we're trying to get rid of him or anything. So just so none of that bullshit gets started. But that was always my idea, and I'd like to get a woman on the show, honestly, because one, it's a completely different perspective than what we have. You know, we'll never see things the way a woman sees things because we're not women, we're men, and we look at things way differently. You know, so getting a woman on the show gives you that other perspective, which is really interesting. The problem is, whenever you're dealing with a new person, is getting somebody that you know you can get along with, that's not going to be a pain in your ass, as far as like, you know, getting all upset and offended and pissed off and all that bullshit. You got to be a little selective. So the bottom line is, a long ass way of saying we don't know what the fuck we're doing with it yet, but we're just having fun, and it's a really fun show. So check it out. Old boy mentioned the merch shop. If you guys want merch, on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. In every single video in the description box is the link to the merch store if you want merch. It's not expensive stuff. It's not like marked way up for us to make a killing off of. It's price low. It's literally just there for you guys. If you want merch, it's there for you to have it. We don't charge much more than it costs us to make it. So we're not making really anything off of it, but it's there for you if you want it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you learned something. As always, it's up to you to make up your own mind, and we will catch you on the next one. So we speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.